Welcome back to another episode of the Highly Optimized Podcast, where we dive deep into the conversations that expand our perspectives, shift our realities, and reconnect us with the truth of who we really are. In today's episode, we explore some big themes: how the world stage is a master of distraction, constantly pulling our attention with divisive maneuvers designed to keep us in fear, separation, and confusion, and how important it is, now more than ever, to reclaim our focus. We also dive into the yearning so many of us feel to step outside of the matrix, to detune ourselves from the noise of typical society, and to reconnect with sovereignty in a way that actually allows us to live freely. You'll hear powerful processes for reclaiming your energy, practical insights for navigating the chaos, and plenty of fun explorations into the nature of reality itself. This is an epic deep dive full of curiosity, laughter, and dialogue, the kind of conversation I love most. And to share it with me today is not only a brilliant thinker and creator, but also one of my closest friends, the host of the Expanding Reality podcast, none other than my man, Brandon Thomas. Brandon Thomas. Dude, am I so excited to be here with you today. You know, I think I say that for every guest, but dude, with you, I am extremely excited because it's been a while since we connected, man. And I know that, you know, based on what we were just talking about before we hit record, this one for everyone listening is going to be a wild episode if you've never heard any of the info we're going to talk about. And a lot of what we're going to get into is a field that Brandon and I both became obsessed with over the past, I don't know, I'd say 2-3 years or whatever. It's referred to overarching as the sovereignty space. You know, we're gonna decouple that just a little bit for sure, and we're gonna get into a lot of stuff. But you know what? At the end of the day, we're gonna have a sick conversation, bro. And I'm just pumped to have you here with me, bro. So how you doing today?
Fucking same season, man. Same. Absolute. Apologies for the little cough there. I forgot to hit mute, and I am igniting a incense for the soul. Is how I look at it. So, if everyone is wanting to join us on some breath work here as we go through this, you are welcome.
Yes, dude. Let's go, bro. Getting lit the fuck in, dude. Let's get it. I mean, bro, that's one of my favorite ways to utilize the sacred herb is for conversation and dialogue. I mean, like, you know, again, like a lot of times I get too silly if I get high when I'm podcasting. So I've only done a couple like that, but it is amazing for dialogue. Like that's what I do every time I connect with cannabis. Rachel and I will just talk for hours, dude. And we'll just decouple our life. We'll talk about a lot of the stuff we're going to talk about today, like trust law and things like that. And we'll just get scrappy with it. We'll start to figure out like, all right, if the game of life is chess, then how do we make sure we end up being the grand master? You know, that's really what the goal is, because you can get mad at the game as much as you want, but the game's going to get played regardless. So you can either complain about it or you can just learn to utilize the game as a grand master. And that's what we're going to talk about today. I'm excited. Woo!
I love this. What a beautiful way to say it. I will say also that it's like how I've been looking at it lately is that this is an infinite game room, like sort of like Discovery Zone or something where there were all sorts of different attractions of things that you could spend the time on, but yet an infinite variety. And so it is an infinite variety. That's more of a limited version of it, but we get the understanding of it. You have multiple that you can go putt-putt, you can go ride golf carts, you can go listen to this politician, you can get wrapped up into that religion. There are many different ways that you can spend your experience with the air quotes time that were allotted here. And it's fascinating, man, when you start alternating perspectives, you go through different versions of this. So like I've always explained this or explained it most accurately recently, that it's sort of a walk up a mountain, a spiral up a mountain that we're ascending here. And there's, you know, the Alex Jones part where he's screaming about how frogs are gay and all that kind of stuff. There's a big crowd in front of him. And yeah, man, you're standing there and you're like, holy shit, I was walking up the mountain, but I'm going to stand here and listen to this guy for a minute. Now, there's a whole world of there's merch, you know, there's other people to talk to, there's connections to be made, there's reinforcements for that idea to be found there. And there's nothing but a infinite number of kiosks along a mountain that we are ascending. And the way that I like to most accurately refer to this as is temporary truths. I really feel that if we can treat this place more like roundabouts and work our way through them, go around and move on, like take a look. Okay, cool. Take your pictures, you know, get a visa, not a mortgage, and just look at things like, here's where I am. I feel great about this, but it can change with new information, you know? And that's humbling and beautiful. And that's the spot to be, man. That's the sweet spot, honestly, because you're not beholden to something, therefore defending an old idea every time new information comes in. You're not like, but I can't drink the water because it makes frogs gay. It's going to make me gay. My mom wouldn't like that, you know, and all this kind of stuff. And Jesus would hate it. But it's like, well, maybe let's back up, come with me. You know what I mean? There's more perspectives to be offered if we keep moving. And that's the thing here, change is the only constant. And the folks who are, this is the way and this is how, that's, I feel, an old ideology that we are very much detaching from, brother. And it's folks like you who just roll with shit, find new information. The ego has nothing to fucking do with it. It's just learning all the time too, and we're cool with it. It's fine, man. This is a safe place to learn and grow. And as long as you make this world that, the world will be that as well.
Absolutely, man. I couldn't have said it better myself. And, you were the one that actually used to bring up this old quote from Dogma, I'm pretty sure, pretty often when we'd podcast, that Chris Rock's character would say, right? And so for everyone listening, I saw Dogma years ago. This quote didn't stick out to me then, but when Brandon mentioned it in the consciousness I had of today, it definitely rang true when Chris Rock says, I prefer ideas to beliefs because they're easier to change. And I think that's really the thing here, right? Because if we are the all, okay, whether you want to call it God or source, creator, whatever you want, simulation, whatever the fuck you want to call it, if we come from a source, let's say, then that source is all things, infinite, everything, everywhere, all at once. And then we come down here into the world or the illusion of condition, right? Where good and bad, left and right, up and down, man and woman, all these different conditions. And so if you believe you're the conditions, well, you get stuck, right? Like if you get too fixated on a belief system that is a certain conditional construct, then you're not able to really remember the truth that you are a holistic being. And so what I like is the quote that wise is the man who knows he does not know. Because what does that really say? It says that, for me, it explains why the Bible says, if you want to enter the kingdom of heaven, you must first enter the mind of a child. Because what is the mind of a child? They're not worried about knowing things yet if they're below 6 years old. They're just asking why, because they're genuinely curious. They don't care to know anything, and as a result, they're the happiest beings on earth. So again, some people might say correlation not equaling causation, but as someone who's gone through a lot of belief systems in my life and realized that, kind of like what PhD stands for, piled higher and deeper. What do all these conditional constructs do? They pile you higher and deeper into the false illusion of who you think you are, and they prohibit you from remembering who and what you truly are. And when you remember, and your foundation is you remember who and what you truly are, you can just have fun with the conditions. You can go into it's like going to a Marshall's and just picking out some clothes and putting it on and be like, I look weird like this, and then taking that one off. And maybe you find some, and for a while you think they're pretty cool. And then eventually, what can you do with them? You donate them to Salvation Army. They're not yours anymore, right? And that's the way I like to think about belief systems, ideas, whatever you want to call it, stories, because it feels like it gives me a lot more freedom to be able to really remember who and what I truly am, and remember that all of this is a dream anyway. And that doesn't mean it's useless, but it means have the best fucking dream possible. And so if believing the frogs are gay gives you that dream or whatever it is, go for it, dude. That's my personal perspective on it, is whatever it is, go for it. I like to believe in Sasquatch. Why? Because it makes my life feel more fun. That's why.
It's fun.
It's just fun. I mean, you hosted a Befriending Bigfoot retreat. That's when you became my hero, bro. You were already one of the coolest people I'd already met. You became my hero when you did that, because I knew right then, I'm like, yeah, bro, you're letting your inner child lead the way. And that is just my favorite people do that. That's the biggest inspiration I can get in life. Because sometimes I get, bogged down into the things and take life too seriously. And when I see things like that, I'm like, yeah, bro, you can have fucking fun. And that's I think the ultimate message that I've come to in this lifetime is nothing here is that serious. Like life is far too serious to ever be taken seriously. It's that paradox, it's so cool.
Beautifully fucking said. God, I love your face so much.
Love
it's really good,
too, bro. I know
that
too,
we're
bro.
in here, but it's good to see. Yeah. I was telling you, I'm not really doing much right now, guys, in the public eye. I'm really building a lot of foundational work. The astrology is here for that, and it backs up all this. It's fascinating timing, but I am going to hop out of the cave for a minute to talk to you and to hang out with this audience. And so just thank you again.
Yeah.
And thank you for your understanding all the other people that I've turned down for things like this recently. Because you get it. Yeah, anyway, to what you said, dude, beautiful. Main quote with there is an Outcast quote, the band Outcast, from whatever, float your boat and find your lost remote. And that is like one of my favorite lines ever, because it's like, yeah, whatever you're into, whatever does it for you, man, whatever, float your boat and find your lost remote. It's go for it. And this is the thing about the spiral and the walk and the VR world that we're in, is it is a fucking hologram created for us, by you, by the amount of energy that you add to it. seemingly. Now, I'm going to say a lot of things that are like, this is how I feel. I don't fucking know anything, guys. So, like Ryan said, I have no fucking clue. I'm winging this to the best of my ability and having fun with it, like you said. And that I feel is my guide, honestly, right? So, yeah, it's a fascinating realm, but it's whatever you want. If you want it to be scary, it's scary as shit, dude. If you want it to be fucking awesome and fun, it's fucking awesome and fun. You can Pisces your way through this bitch with grounded perspectives as well. You can dance through it. But there does seem to be this overarching sort of reality out there that is insistent that you acknowledge it to some degree. It's gotten much quieter lately for me as it's ramped up for everybody that's still been tuned into the movie. I'm not interested in the movie anymore. What I have chosen to create now and inflate, because I am so invested in the idea, which again is sort of, and this is what it all comes down to, dude. It's all up to you. So if it's all up to you, invest in what you really, really want. You need to go to your edges to find them. So when you're dark, again, make that your visa, not mortgage. Go temporary truth. Go see what the darkness is. Go explore them edges. And then whenever you're ready to come home or go back to the direction that you're creating, choose that, right? But there's no right or wrong here, which that's terrifying, right? And I think that we've covered this, that in video and audio editing, like you do, the coolest thing about video and audio editing is you can do anything you want. The shittiest thing about video and audio editing is you can do anything you want. Now, really think about that, because a lot of people bitch like, oh, I want something different. I want things to be different. Okay, what would it look like? And then it's crickets. And then it's, well, for my job, and then they're basing it on framework that they're looking to break out of, but they're looking for the most extreme version rather than perhaps seeing that the framework is lattice for what they would choose to create. Where I'm at with it now, Bubba, is this place is all inspiration. I see that it's dark and I see whatever, but I got this guitar here and I've written some fucking awesome songs. And every one of the biggest motivators was when I was getting my heart ripped out by some broad. If that hadn't have happened, the song wouldn't have existed. And as much as I would like to say that I would have just pulled that creative genius out of my ass at some point, it needed the catalyst. And so this place is fodder for catalyst for creation. And as long as we can look at it like that, it's not scary. Like we were talking about earlier, I just got off a 3-hour meeting 2 days in a row about IRS forms. We're on irs.gov. We're calling them. We're setting up phone calls. We're ready to go. They're not scary. It's not scary, guys. It's a monster whenever it's there and you just kind of, oh, don't look at it. Oh, run by real quick. Oh, fill this out. Oh, what am I doing wrong? It's not that. When you sit down, they're little clerks. It's an intermediary between you and the treasury. It's your world here, but it's the way that you feel about it, which is your interface to it. Now, this gets woo-woo, but it doesn't. Like, I've abandoned and I'll tell you, I'll be the first to say, New Age is a new cage. It's religion with extra stuff in my mind. I'm not fucking interested in that shit. And this is not where this is coming from. This is coming from a place of exploring that and saying, you know what, I'll take a little bit from it, because the understandings that they're able to achieve are fascinating, but it's the methods in which they're outsourcing the power, which I depart from the practice of. So that I'm a much more actionable person. And that's where we go into the trust stuff, which again, we're going to go into. But to say all this is to say that you will have the experience you want here. If you're paying attention to the news, if you're signed up for that program, you're going to be fed that and then expect to exchange loot in return. And if that's something you want to do, awesome. My motto over the past few years has been disoblige and create. Disoblige and create. Disoblige and create. I say it like that on purpose. Maybe it'll stick to you. Disoblige and create. Whatever's going on out there, it doesn't matter. It doesn't even need your can you believe? No, that's an acknowledgement. That's an obligation. That's an obliging of. I honestly, it's made me so fucking happy. People were, oh, did you hear what happened on the news? I have no clue. I'm out of the loop on purpose. And it's because I'm building foundations. I'm using the lattice work of the nonsense to say that I've spent enough time on the hills being pissed off about it, or Paul revering to say, wake up, motherfuckers, you got to this. I'm just living the thing, man. You shine the light or you don't. You're somebody who is adding energy to the system, even if it's to talk about how fucked up the system is. You're either adding to it or not. It's in that way, in my mind, is very black and white. But if we look out and we say the medical's fucked up, maybe we investigate medicine just a little bit better, or education's fucked up. Maybe we do a little bit better for our kids. I was raised this way and I saw the system this way. Is it still true? Are any of the beliefs that I hold true? And it's when you start inventorying beliefs and energy allocation. Where does my attention go? How much time do I spend on things? And what do I believe really? And then you get to Crow's quote about how belief is the enemy of knowing. And it's a really interesting spot, man. I'll pause on, no diarrhea to the mouth here a little bit, but you just get me going. I love you for it.
This is great.
But what was it? The answer to life is the mastery of questions. And so lately I've just been asking myself better questions. And I'm a bit of a word whore. We're going to talk about I'm a publisher, so I'm a bit of a word skank. And I've always felt like words are so powerful. And then in the studies I've done and readings and talking to folks and stuff over the years, it's become very, very evident to me that your words create reality, period. Like everybody's do. But if you look at it, it's hidden all around you. I mean, countless examples. God created with his word first, right? That's what spoke everything into existence. The harmonic resonance, you've got cymatic patterns, you've got frequencies at which, rhythms your heart beats at, vortexes, things like that, like fascinating musical components that go to this. And the idea that your word is your wand, your magical wand that's casting your reality, right? If you think of prisoners, they're in a sentence. Well, perhaps you're casting your prison sentence with your word every time you speak. And then the opposite is true, though. So it would make you ask better questions, probably like, well, if I were to do differently with that, if I were to speak differently, would things be different? And the answer is unequivocally yes. So part of all of this trust law and all of this kind of stuff, man, marries with my anal retentiveness of speech. And the speech being of the, literal abracadabra, meaning as I speak, I create, right? So if we are saying that we're trying, that we're, all of these things, like those are verbs to your subconscious. And what's fascinating about the subconscious is it doesn't know anybody else exists, and it doesn't know that you're joking. So it takes everything you say at face value. If you say unstoppable, it sees stoppable. It doesn't see the part of it. It doesn't get the juxtaposition. It's very literal. And so too is spellcasting. And I would think it should be. Like, let's say that you're intending a mystical result. Well, you'd want some pretty fucking deliberate creators at the helm of that. You don't want somebody just going in shit on the end of something and then you're like abracadabra and shit, homie. It's speech, it's grammar, it's syntax, it's pronunciation, it's articulation, it's eloquence. It's knowing that the power lies in your voice, man. This is everything. And the people talking through the voice box thing, yeah, this applies to you too, dude. It's your powers and your intent in your speech. And this is why also whenever we look out and you say, oh, this person's doing that and that fucking sucks. Well, then that person is doing that and that fucking sucks. Then the reality around you says, ooh, this is getting their attention. This is getting the energy I need to fuel myself, which is the reality I'm creating for this being. And this being is telling me that what it's focused most on is things sucking and things being a certain way and creating a certain emotion in them, which is really my trigger point. Emotion, right? Energy in motion. It's the energy sent off to then be crossed back into our toroidal field to be created, perhaps. But again, I don't know shit. We're just talking shit.
Dude, I mean, bro, everything you just said is exactly what I choose to know for myself subjectively. And, one of the things that's very interesting is that, I mean, literally there's so much to say for what you just said, but, this is what people I find don't understand quite a bit. Like, these are the laws of the universe. I didn't make them. You don't have to like them, but they are what we operate within. It's the same way as like if you play Grand Theft Auto, there are certain rules in that game. You can't go so far outside of the map. Is that because the map doesn't exist? Well, in that game, yeah, it doesn't exist. So that's the rule, right? When I used to play like Grand Theft Auto 3, there were aspects of the map I couldn't get to unless I could complete missions. And that was just the rules of engagement. So if you think about this, world or illusion, dream, whatever you want to call it that we live in, being similar, there are these laws like the 7 Hermetic Principles, the law of forgiveness through A Course in Miracles, things like that, where, if you start living in alignment with those laws, it allows you to be a much more conscious creator. And I think that's what exactly we're talking about, right? Like most people, and then it was funny when you were saying it because I was like, wait a minute, Brandon, are you telling me that Hermione was right when she said it's Leviosa, not Leviosa?
Dude, right? This is okay. I'm going to go off Harry Potter in a minute.
Go off, bro. Go off.
Well, Harry Potter, go ahead. Finish your thought.
Okay, I'll finish this first. So basically, I use this analogy all the time, and it's almost too perfect. I was just saying this to a client this morning. How most people are in the world, how I was before I knew this, is like this. If you've seen the first Harry Potter, where Harry Potter and Hagrid walk to the wand shop, And they go in there, and Harry's like, obviously, he just went through a fucking wall. So he's starting to believe something is weird here. But he doesn't really know how to see himself as a wizard. He doesn't know if he believes it yet. And so the guy gives him a wand. And he picks it up, and the guy's like, give it a flick. And he gives it a flick, and the fucking papers go flying off the wall, right? Now imagine if he had got mad at the papers instead of him with the wand. That's how most people live their life. They are spelling themselves and creating a reality. Just because they don't know they're the creator of the reality doesn't mean the law ceases to exist. They're still creating the reality. It's just they have yet to become an adult in the eyes of creator. And how I decipher that is not the age or a number of days you've woken up in this dream illusion, but the actual ability for you to be aware in the dream or illusion. And so for a lot of these people, for me before I knew this, I would get mad and blame images out there in the seemingly out there world, whether or not those were separate people that I thought existed, whether or not those were the powers that shouldn't be, whatever it was. And it seems really good in the moment, right? It seems really attractive to be like, oh, I would do this, but the government's got me down, man. Or, I would do this, but these people over there they make me feel like this. No. They don't. You are making yourself feel that. And the ego's favorite trick is to put the blame out there, because when the blame's out there, guess the last place you're going to look? In here. And when you don't look in here, guess what you will never figure out? That the ego is the false reality, but yet the source within you will always get you back home. It's like Motel 6. It'll leave the light on for you, but you have to actually look for the light in order to find it. So that's what I wanted to say.
Beautiful fuck.
Yeah.
You beautiful fuck. Audience, write in to this guy. Just tell him how grateful we are that he's here.
Dude.
He chooses to fucking put on a microphone and do this. How beautiful.
Bro. Game, recognize game. And what I'll say to you is if you spot it, you got it, bro. And that's, another thing I'll say real quick is that
spiritual, if you smelt it, you dealt it.
Yeah, exactly, dude. Like we learned that as kids, but we never understood that's the second hermetic principle, the law of correspondence. It's like a real universal law, right? And so, what's really interesting, right? Because I like to tiptoe. I like to I keep myself out of the movie most of the time, but I like to tiptoe and just look at it and be like, what's going on out there? And then jump back in like my private realm, if you will. And one of the things, is that unfortunately there was a murder in the last couple of days. Okay. Charlie Kirk got murdered. We've all heard about it. So what's been very interesting to me is number one, how many people are like celebrating a death. All right. That's weird to me. Second of all, though, is the idea that, people are like, oh, I'm not going to have any empathy for someone who is a sociopath. And I'm like, so you're going to turn yourself into a sociopath to fight sociopathy? That doesn't really make any sense. Like, regardless of what you believe, at the end of the day, the dude didn't actually kill anyone. Yeah, people might subjectively say he was spreading hate, whatever. But bro, that guy just got assassinated, okay? It's okay to say, I might hate who he was. I might not agree with anything he says, but that is fucked up. That's a moral compass, right? Like that's a moral compass. And I think I was giving this analogy to Rachel the other night. I think what's really been fucking a lot of people up in this kind of thing, the people that are a little more aware, is imagine this, right? Imagine that you're a dad and you come home. It's a long day of work. You're fucking at your wit's end. You walk in the door and there's thousands of crayons all over the floor. Okay. Like your kid just took boxes of crayons and dumped them out everywhere. And you're like, God damn, dude, that is really rough. I don't know how I'm going to handle this. And then you walk into the other room and you see that your kid is also, before he dropped them all, colored on every single one of your walls. So now you have to repaint the entire house. Okay. That's a bigger challenge than the one that was the first challenge. And so I think what a lot of like people that are tapped in a little bit are feeling right now is that, at least for me, maybe it's my innocence, I don't know, but I just never thought I'd see this many people celebrating a death. Like that to me is more fucked up than the death itself, because it speaks to where a lot of humanity, a lot of parts of me, right? Because again, we're all one being here, are at. And it also reminds me, I would imagine, of past lifetimes where I was in that energy, where I celebrated death and whatever. And then I realized if I'm celebrating death out there, what am I really doing? I'm celebrating the death of me in here. And I'm killing a part of myself. Because if we're the all, no tree's branches can reach to heaven if its roots don't first reach to hell. And what I'm realizing is that a lot of people are not okay with handling their emotions and taking responsibility. Like how many people are out there saying this guy spread hate when at the same time, did anything happen in your reality? A lot of the time, the answer is completely no. And so it's just interesting how many fucking thirst traps are out there trying to grab your attention. And that's why I stay out of the movie most of the time, because I got an important mission here. I know what makes me feel good, and I'm going to keep going that direction. I've already diverted myself and gone back to the darkness enough times to realize that stove is still fucking hot, dude. I get 3rd-degree burns every time I touch it. Doesn't matter what fucking thing is on top of it, what it's disguised as, I always get a 3rd-degree burn. So you can only get 3rd-degree burns so often before you realize I'm the one that's burning myself. So if I want this to stop, I have to make a different choice. And so, but then there are a lot of people, or seemingly people out there, that are trying to pull you back in. Wait, what? You don't know what's happening in Israel? You don't know what's happening? It's like, dude, first of all, I can't help anyone if I don't help myself first. And like the famous quote says, the best thing I can do for me is work on me. The best thing I can do for you is also work on me, because really nothing out there actually exists. But the thing is that it's almost as if we got gifted a car and we didn't get a user manual for it. So we just think it's a cool place to hang out with our friends. We have no context this car can drive or that it can take us on adventures or anything. So the analogy being that most people just show up here in the world, they get trained in the matrix system, and they never understand the first principles of reality, which is you are the creator of this reality. And with great power comes great responsibility. And that responsibility is taking accountability and ownership over all of the creations in your life, not just the ones that are cute, the ones that are happy, but also the times that you work yourself into a fucking world where you end up hating a lot of other people because they're a different color than you, or they're on a different team than you. And you don't realize that you're getting pulled into a thirst trap from the Loosh realm, from the dark forces that really are here to allow us to positively polarize and go towards service to others. But again, if you play in that thirst trap long enough, you'll get stuck down there with them. But again, it does take a Darth Vader to make a Luke Skywalker. So I think it's all perfectly well and good that all of this is happening. Do I support it? Not necessarily. Like, I have my humanness, but at the same time, if I can zoom out and I can see Creator playing a big game with itself of essentially like going back to love, then I would see why things like this are potential catalyzers for that. But at a certain point, when you've gotten the message, you can hang up the phone. Like, there's only so many thirst traps I can have my attention and energy grabbed into before I realize I'm the one letting that happen. It's not them. It's not the news. It's not anyone out there. I'm choosing to put my attention and focus there. And then I'm choosing to get upset and take it personally. And then I'm choosing to take that energy and that anger out into the world and blame other people and create distortion. And every time I do that, it's not like I'm doing it to anyone out there, because there is no one out there. It's just one being cast down in a dream illusion from the ego because it's terrified, because it believes the separation from God really happened when it never actually happened. And when you see through that, it just makes you not care less, but realize that putting your care on the things that you don't want, the things that are not nice, like, it doesn't do anything, because it just creates more of that. That's why the best thing I can do for myself or others is focus on me, where my energies come from, and how I'm viewing the so-called reality I'm seeing out there. That's what I really feel is going on. But again, I don't know anything. We're just having dialogue, just like you said.
Dude, you know a lot. You got wonderful perspectives. What I've done my best with is abandoned presupposition. That what's helped me really with this delineation and the trust stuff is in the sovereignty world, I suppose you could say. My mind has just been on trust lately.
Yeah.
Then is this delineation between democracy and republic. And when you get into these things, you start looking at, definitions of this kind of shit. And a democracy, 51% can tell 49% what to do with their lives, right? And how to live them, right? And this is where we sort of depart from the idea from the corporation, because the corporation fuels itself on that obvious undesirable situation. So it's obviously presenting something undesirable. But again, where I'm at now with it is that it's a catalyst for everything. And so whenever I see this, the only thing that I'm honestly presupposing is that there's a gift. And for me, 100% of the time, there's a great quote by Mark Twain. Who wrote that fucking shit? Come on.
Mark Twain does have some sick quotes, so I'm excited to hear this.
It's Mark Twain's quote that he who reads the newspapers are misinformed, and he who doesn't read the newspapers are uninformed. And I'm in the batch of uninformed because I see the power in my energy, and I have no desire to tune into the movie again. because I don't need it. I've hung up the phone, as we'll say, and even psychedelics, man. I'm not involved in it.
Mm-hmm.
The biggest thing I'm doing right now is connecting with cannabis, and that is man. It is the biggest ally for me. I knew the moment I took my first hit that it was going to be the thing, and I've worked my way through quite a bit and come back home, and this is her.
Yeah.
So there's that filter in which I look at things through as an ally here. But what I'm saying here is that there, with all the choices to allocate our energy, when we're looking at a republic, what a republic functions on is that you're a sovereign being, that you exist under a set of maxims, and that's in equity courts and real common law shit. Statutes keeps the lie alive, it keeps the fight going, and it keeps the dissension there with subversion and fucking oppression and all that, but it's built into the system. But you've got to check a box to sign up for it. So the noise is so that you make sure that you don't figure out what we're talking about really when we're talking about sovereignty. When we say the word, we don't put sovereign citizen at the end of it, and you don't know why we're not doing that. That's a great question. You know, I call those people retards on Union of the Unwanted the other night. But what I will say is they're either retards or just very misinformed, and that's okay. Sovereign citizen, the reason that we don't say this is oxymoronic. Sovereign is one that governs self. Citizen is one that's got to be governed. And govern me harder, daddy, and handheld. And that's what you're doing when you check that box. Because technically, everybody listening out there, if you don't live in the 10 square mile radius of Washington, D.C., Puerto Rico, Costa Rica, one of those annexes, not states, or work for the federal government, those two things. You don't live in D.C. or one of their subsidiary corporations, really federal enclaves, or work for the federal government. If you don't, those two things, and every single time you check that box, you are choosing to participate in the nonsense, as I would phrase it now. There is a way not to do that. And that's the biggest illusion here, is that you're only given a certain amount of choices. Duality is one of those things, especially when focused on in the spiritual community, that can offer the idea that it's got to be black or white. In my trust stuff, for my private trust, there's public and private stuff that we do, right? But to delineate those two things, I have a color coding system. My color coding, and I love your vape there, has always been green for public facing stuff, because that's where I come from with my heart. Heart chakra is green. Therefore, green is my color for the public facing things. The private stuff has always been purple. Now, purple to me is a blending of red and blue. And red and blue I've been obsessed with over the past couple of years, really since the Matrix, but it's gone beyond that because my RAS has picked it up in so many ways, my reticular activating system, and said, hey, look at that, hey, look at that. And I'm like, oh my God, there it is again. Red and blue are everywhere. And red and blue, from my perspective of sort of the plane of inertia, the idea that we're on a toroidal field, we're right in the middle, whirled down to a stationary plane, not the other way around, on a ball whirling. We were whirled, WHIRLD, down to a plane of inertia. But if you look at it, then our plane of inertia has two sides, right? A red and a blue. Now, you may know which side you're on based on the sky color is my guess. That we have a blue sky, therefore we're on the blue side, therefore we're blue pilled, therefore our motivation for creation is fueled by that element, right? But if you think about that to everything in this context as well, because it is magnetism at this point, electromagnetism, then there is an underside to that thing. Folks call it Summerland. I would estimate that it would have a red sky, and I don't know why. That just makes sense to me. But if you think about that, if we are flip-flopping the yin-yang, which means between those two worlds, maybe that we die in this one, reincarnate in that one, die in that one, reincarnate in this one, and that's the cycle, right? Maybe. Again, we're just talking shit. But if we look at it just as a fundamental, the optics of it are that blue and red exist, this polarity. And I've been focused much more on purple over the past year or so. And purple to me, again, our border colors here. Now purple is going to be on your RAS, by the way. Prince had something going with that. Royalty is an interesting one. But really, the way that I connect with it is the blending of the two ideals. So for me, then, that is where all possibilities exist. It's not this black, white, hot, cold, red, blue, this, that. It's got to be, which side do you want? And if you're playing the game, then you've got to play it this way because that's the prescribed game. And that's the thing, is if you're driving go-karts in a place, then yes, you got to wear the helmet. You got to go, it's governed. You can't go very fast. There's a track, there's sides. You can't just free ride anywhere. There's rules to the game, like you said. But this place doesn't mean that there's rules to everything. And so within that context is where you'll find your freedom, because I do feel that there's an element of training wheels to this bitch, and that what we really are here are super fucking powerful beings. What we've chosen to do is the equivalent of put weights on our body and run on the bottom of the ocean so that we don't fly off because we're so badass. We have focused ourselves down to a point of creation where we experience it through a particular lens that, yes, we may or may not have had an entire setup in, but be honest with yourself, man. If you fucking knew it all, it'd be boring, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So I like to thank myself for being this incredible, powerful being. And it makes me feel more powerful that I can forget that for a moment, or pretend to forget that at this phase, but pretend to forget that for a little bit and come down here and explore something I've created, and I've created with you because you are me and all this great stuff. And so what I've then figured out is, like, let's say that I'm drawing a picture. Okay. And I start to use a particular color on that picture. Well, maybe I don't like that color. Maybe I just start the picture all over, and this would be what we refer to as resets. But maybe there's a way that we can just erase that color, or maybe other colors will add to that one and make it change, make it something more beautiful, right? Two things becoming one third more beautiful thing. What we're doing here is an example of that. This is a trinity. You are an individual example of an expression of soul, samesies. And then what we're doing is coming together and forming this third thing called our conversation and our energy. And then that exists within the community now as a gift for all of us. And this is just beautiful. So to say this, that the purple to me has been more of this abandonment of presuppositions. I can do this easily with the spinning ball. I can say that, well, if you think that we went to the moon, then therefore that presupposes that the ball is real, right? So like you can stair step these things. If you feel that the government has all power, then that presupposes that you've offered them your power already, and that you feel that there is some lizard turd agenda. And in all honesty, brother, where I'm at with it now is there is a lizard turd agenda to support you in creating your own reality. But the way that it's been phrased up to this point is we've been needing to be dependent on them. And I pull up the sigil of Lucifer and the way that our eyes work all the time. It's been a graphic that I've pulled up, and there's side-by-side images where the sigil of Lucifer is our eye pattern crossed over. If you look at it from above, and the way that our eyes work is, right goes across, left goes over. It's inverted and then corrected by your prefrontal cortex. That's all then judged by your RAS to be what's useful, what's not useful. There's a filtration system that goes through just your ability to perceive reality. And if we can at least just go, okay, if that exists, then what reality is doing is stimulating that constantly. And if you're in the right frame of mind, or if you're, let's say if you're out there, let's say if you're plugged in and you're watching the news and you're all that, its job is to make sure that you don't figure out that you can start a trust, that you can own nothing but have control of everything, and that whenever you do this properly, that it passes probate and everything goes to your family or your spouse, no questions asked, because it's nobody's business. They don't want you to know that shit. I will say this, but they don't want you to know it, but they're going to go wink, wink. Okay. It's like them dropping a $5 bill, turning around and going, oh no, I dropped the $5 bill. I'm telling you, it's fucking silly. The way that I see this now, it's fucking silly. It's comical. It's dark, and it's gruesome, because it, just like us, goes, it's going behind the scenes going, shit, all right, we got another script to write. These fuckers are still paying attention to it. They're still giving us energy. They're still offering us attention. They're still talking about it. The more that we do, the more they talk, like, what do we do next? And then they go, well, let's ramp it up. Let's go out and make sure your mask is showing this time. Make sure the blood pack on Charlie is filmed a couple of times. Make sure that there's a book that was released a day before he actually got shot, about him getting shot in the place he got shot. Do you see how, like, dumb it is? It's dumb, and it's not to be taken seriously. What I feel its job is, I look at it and I go, that's cool, Kanye, thanks. And just keep walking. Like, it's all ridiculous to me. I'm just like, okay, Kanye, that's cool. And then it usually doesn't even get that from me. I'm just like, dude, I really feel like I've been given a gift, and the gift is the opportunity to really see the value in what I'm creating over worrying about why I can't this or what's being prescribed. I really do see it as motivation. And maybe it's because I can connect so many things to music and art and all of that, and see that it motivates and it drives, and that, being creative to be creative is its own, thing. How do I support myself while I do something creative just to fuel my soul? Like, there's a creative process in getting our message out. There's a creative process in branding yourself and fucking, all of it. The creators at the bottom of the line here. And this is the point. You're here to fucking create, dude. That's it. Full stop. I really do feel that's it. And the less time you go, well, I'm going to use my creative energy to worry or complain or bitch about or prep because of the inevitable, like that is, to me, still a laughable way to go about it. Like it's unnecessary. You go nuts. Go do what you want, because whatever y'all are doing doesn't affect me. Because again, I'm in the Republic. I'm not in the what the mass is doing affects the other mass. I'm unsubscribed from that spiritually, mentally, emotionally, all of it. And on paper, actually, we have the paperwork to prove my fucking. So I'm seeing purple, man. I'm not into the thing. I heard that a thing happened and immediately reminded my dear couple of folks that reached out, because it's very few, because most folks know this about me. I'm out of the loop on purpose, man,
100%.
So, but I hear that something happened that offered Loosh. Now, what I will say to this as well is Mary is an astrologer, an amazing astrologer. And I'm sure you got this from Rachel, that what happened at the conjunction at the exact moment of the shot, by the way, is exactly what you would expect. Plus, if you pull his chart, it's exactly right for his south node as well. So all of this stuff, guys, it's theater. I mean, it doesn't, from Shakespeare, it's not changed. The world is a stage. Dude, that's it.
It really is, man. And like you said, we are the ones that get to create it, but we don't do that before we accept that we are the ones that get to create it. Like, right. Again, like that, everything lies on that. And at the end of the day, like, what is it really even going to do? Like, if the gentleman that got shot actually got killed and actually got shot, what is it going to do for the average person, unless you have a big media platform or whatever, and you actually have the ability to make a real difference? I think a lot of people thirst trap themselves into thinking that going on Instagram and making a video is somehow going to add something positive to it. And at the end of the day, maybe, I don't know, but I've never met anyone that does that often, that goes online and shares their opinion on everything going on, that is actually has time to go do what they were fucking put on this planet to do, which is create something consciously that actually makes the world or the illusion of the dream feel better, feel more grand in nature. And I love what you were talking about purple, because the way that I look at that is there is wholeness and there is somethingness. Wholeness is what is accurate and what is true. You could call it source, God, whatever, but that is reality. Okay. And so then we play a game of somethingness, aka condition. But creator, aka source, aka holism, is unconditional. And so what's interesting to me is that the second you say God is blank, you've created condition and you're no longer talking about God. You don't actually understand God or creator, source, whatever you want to say.
But a God that is created when you say it. Go ahead.
Exactly. But a God gets created when you say it. And then you think that God is the one that is the guy in the sky or whatever it is. And he's the one expecting. It's like, no, you're creating all of this, right? Like, and again, and like you said earlier, it can be scary, right? But it's only scary because you've allowed yourself to get into a place where it feels scary. And I like how you framed the idea that these forces, they're not trying to be bad just because they're bad, right? And again, bad would imply duality, but again, like, I like how the law of one talks about negative and positive polarity, because again, polarity is the swing, right? Ups and downs and lefts and rights and whatever. The goal is to get back to balance, right? And every sacred text since the dawn of time, whether it's from Asia, Jerusalem, wherever, talks about this idea of balance. And so for me, what purple says is, I don't want to be too hot, but I also don't want to be too cold. I like being in the middle. And also, it opens up the idea of maybe, right? So maybe is a really good word, I think, Now, again, it could be considered soft talk, like maybe I'll go to the gym, all right? That would be an instance that I would personally say is not the best for me casting spells, but it's like the Taoist farmer, right? Oh my God, you're so lucky. Your son would have been taken to war. Well, maybe. Next day the son breaks a leg. Oh my God, your son broke his leg. You're going to be so screwed. Well, maybe, right? Like, it's expecting, like, I don't exactly know what's going to happen. So if I'm quick to say, oh my God, this is that, well, then I better be sure that that's what I want to create, because abracadabra, that's what it will be, And so, And so in the law of one, they talk about how the negative polarity, like the Darth Vaders, they're not, like, if you zoom out from their illusion of a lifetime here, if you zoom out, those people understand in order to make people make a decision, we have to be polarizing. And so what they're doing is polarizing to quote unquote evil, right? Whatever we think that is. And as a result, the point of that is to have us go, no, I don't want that. I want something that feels more whole, right? Like feels more like my real home. I don't think people really say it that way, but that's really what they're going for. And so in doing that, what you realize is that great spirit is down for whatever. There is no good and bad when you zoom out. There's just creator experiencing itself. It's kind of like Grand Theft Auto. If the cops are after you in this quote unquote real life, probably pretty scary. Cops get on you in Grand Theft Auto, it's like, whatever. I'm just going to go up this mountain and whatever. Maybe I do the cheat to get them off, whatever. There's not really much emotion in it. Okay. Maybe if you're on a mission, maybe, but other than that, there's not really much emotion. And at the end of the day, that's really how I feel. I could and can and am choosing to look at the world. It's like, okay, anytime that I believe this is real, what if I forgive myself for falling into the ego's trap again? And in doing so, I start to naturally wake up because I'm not believing in the farce here. I'm not believing in the game. And that, I think, is the fun of the game for creator, because you got to imagine if you're everything everywhere all at once, infinity and wholeness, it's static, right? It's like, it's not, but it is. Like, it's always the same thing because it's always, all right? And always doesn't include something or sometimes. So what's the only game left to play? The game is something, right? The game of I'm not whole. The game of there's condition.
Fuck around and find out.
Yeah, exactly. And so I really feel like that's the game we're playing here. And when you zoom out, nothing is really that serious. Yes, it can feel very real and very serious in this realm. And I'm not telling anyone listening that you have to look at it this way or whatever. This is just us talking shit, having a fun conversation about how we choose to view reality and what's worked really well for us. Because for me, when I used to put myself into having to think that every single thing that happened in the world, I needed to go talk about and take accountability for and blah, 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 it just didn't lead me anywhere good. So I stopped doing that. That's why I decided to do it. It just wasn't fun, And I think at the end of the day, if you're not having fun, what's the point of all this, right? Like, at the end of the day, what are we supposed to do? Just come down here and think it's a prison planet and, oh my God, woe is me, and just like darkness? I mean, cool, great spirits. Yeah, you can do that. Great spirits down for whatever.
I recommend it, actually.
Yeah,
I recommend it.
It's an equally...
But get a visa, not a mortgage.
Exactly. Get the idea, not the belief. Again, like great spirits down for whatever, but at the end of the day, what actually feels better in your own system? Not what a professor at school tells you, not what a doctor tells you, not what the guy in the news says, but what feels better to you. Because I think if most people actually thought about, for instance, right? Like, let's talk about the Matrix version of what's happening right now. Guy dies, gets killed, allegedly. And basically, I love throwing the allegedly in there.
I love you. Well, thank you for keeping it honest.
Of course. And so then what happens is a bunch of people decide to go into darkness to prove like, oh my God, I'm glad this guy died. Well, it's like, does that feel good to say that? Like, I think if you really sat with yourself, maybe go to a 10-day Vipassana retreat, or if you want to be a little more aggressive, take 8 grams of mushrooms and hold that belief as you go into it and see what happens. See if that's a good experience for you. I guarantee when the ego leaves and the confusion leaves you, you're going to be like, oh my fucking God, I just wished that a part of me was dead. Fuck. Right? And so again, if you've had those non-dual experiences, you probably just think we're retarded, and that's okay. Whatever. You can think what you want. But having been someone who's held some aggressive beliefs and tried to go into a psychedelic experience or tried to go into darkness or silence for 10 plus days, I always have come out being like, you know what? I may not like it. I may not agree with it. I can say it's not my flavor of ice cream, but you know what? Any experience is valid in the eyes of creator. And who am I to put a condition to it? To say that, oh my God, it's bad, or oh my God, it's good. I don't fucking know. I don't know. So I'm going to stay in that purple as much as possible, because that to me is where freedom lies. Because the second that you think you know something, well, if someone else knows something different, you feel personally invested in arguing with them and trying to prove yourself right and them wrong. And there is no right and wrong. So if you want to be right, the paradox is you're wrong. That's a very interesting one that Rachel came up with one day. And it's really, as you start to get into paradoxical living, you realize that the entire universe is one big paradox. Yeah. So, it always reminds me of Metal Gear Solid, because when I used to play that game, they'd always say time paradox, and I never knew what it meant. And now I get it, right? So it's interesting. And by get it, I mean, I'll never get it. And so I actually get it because I don't get it. It's very paradoxical.
You get it, though. That's the point.
Yeah.
And that's the point, is that the paradoxes lead you to some interesting things. First, it's frustrating as shit.
Mm-hmm.
Then it becomes kind of terrifying, I would say, because then you're like, well, what's real and what's stable and blah, blah, blah. But we signed up for that. That's okay. Psychedelics prepared us for this. Because it's really a mind trip, man. I haven't done psychedelics. Well, it's really been like 3.5 years, but I came out of retirement for Chris's wedding. I married Chris Matthew in Colorado. We did.
Hell yeah.
He grew these 5 strains himself. He danced over them daily naked and shit. So it was very well done. Like I was in for it.
Dude.
And that was interesting. But even from there though, this realm now is far more psychedelic. To look around and watch people react to things like what you're talking about is a trip for me. I'm just like, and then I think of, I don't spend much time on it, honestly, but if I were to talk about it like I am now, I would think of then how much energy and time, to what degree in energy and time, and then what came out of it. Like, because there's, the 369, right? There's the integration, there's the experience, the trauma, the thought, the experience, and the integration, right? Yeah. And so then it comes in. So if you've got that, it's got to happen that way, unless we just stay on the 6 and you just live there, and that's different. You don't integrate. But if you're able to come back around and integrate it, you're saying, yes, what value does it bring my life? If you're able to ask these real good questions. And that's what it is, man. It's the answer to life is a mastery of questions. We learned this from Andrew Benjamin from our Mighty Morphin Sovereign Rangers. I always quote this guy. I love that quote. And so one of the things I've been asking myself is better questions, man. I say, what would it feel like to allow myself not to get caught up in a bunch of nonsense? What would it feel like to allow myself to experience the highest version of me that really knows where its priorities are? What would it feel like to allow myself to accept the change of what changing my priorities feels like? And these are the questions that I've been asking, and they've been yielding incredible results. And then you do the pay it forward of thanking and congratulating yourself for allowing the highest version of you to come in, or thanking and allowing your dreams to come true and stuff like that. So it's been that. It hadn't been, shit, how many rounds of ammo do I need to buy now because of this? Or how much energy does the game cause me to produce in the other direction of my goals? And that's really the question, because if it's motivating you, then fucking use it, man. Go with it. Go with what you feel. In my case, it just wasn't, man. I'm creating. So we'll plug books now. Here. This is what I've been doing instead of the fucking Matrix. We published this awesome book. Is it backwards? Sometimes
no, it's perfect. No, it came in right.
So, this is the Eternal Avatar, and this is by a wonderful chap in the UK named Philip Kinsella. He is one of a twin. His brother Ronald and him came on the show 5 years ago, man. He was episode number 6. Wow. Last episode I released was 360 or 338, 337. Anyway, he was early on in the thing. Chris John Mays writes these incredible poems at the beginning of each chapter. They're incredible team. Brilliant forward, by the way, by Josh Cutchin. Do you know who that is?
No, I don't,
he wrote
actually.
Footprints End, The Ecology of Souls. He's written fucking dozens of books, and he did the forward for this. And then the cover was done by an awesome artist named Curtis Sopel. And the way that we designed the cover was to where the thing would come and swirl this way, come on the back and swirl the other way. And then look at the back, dude. He did these really cool... Because this book is about aliens, UFOs, Dogman, spiritual... Philip's a spiritual medium. And that's our publishing house. We're digital publishing right there. The little blue arc came out.
Wow, I love that.
Oh, he just did an outstanding job with it. It was a joy to work with him on it. And it's just beautiful. It's like 250-something pages. It's on KDP or Kindle, Amazon. It's got Barnes & Noble Press as well as Lulu. So there's 3 different formats right now. But it's awesome. It's incredibly well done. Josh did a great job on the forward. And we do add... full thank you pages for our authors. This is a weird thing for a publishing house, allegedly, is to put full shout outs for all the authors involved and all the people, all the folks involved. This is Chris John Mays and some artwork that he's done as well. He's incredible. Audio only audience, head to the video version of this. You're going to want to see these beautiful people. This is the artist, Curtis Sopel.
Wow.
And he also did another book for us that we plugged in that we'll talk about in a minute. And then there's Josh Cutchin's handsome ass. I love his face. Look at him. Dude. He's a tuba player, dude.
He's a tuba player?
Tuba player, yeah. Professional tuba player in Atlanta. Wow. And then that's our series for the journals. But, incredibly grateful and proud of this thing. This is already out, all formats, and they're good to go. So, by the way, guys.
Wow. That looks amazing. I'm definitely going to check that out.
Thank you. And again, for audio only audience, the Eternal Avatar on Amazon, anywhere, really. Okay.
That's amazing.
By Philip Kinsella. Now, another one that's not even out yet, really, but you can go buy it technically. If you wanted to go get this on Amazon, you could. This is Girls and the Demons Deal. Same cover artist, by the way. We offer quite a few different artists that we work with. None of this is AI. So all of it is commissioned art that the authors paid this artist to do this for them. And so both authors picked the same artist from a portfolio that we have. And so he's an awesome artist out of Canada. And it's all about heartbreak. It's this guy named Eric Hollerbach. He's a comedian. He's incredible. He does a wonderful character you would love called Klaus Schwab Jr. Have you ever seen him running around?
Maybe, actually. It sounds familiar.
He was on Glenn Beck doing it. Anyway,
I've seen some clips, I think.
Yeah, he's a comedian out of really cool guy. So he's come up to our place. We live in North Texas. He's come up here about 5 or 6 times, editing and staying with us and stuff. So anyway, Girls in the Demons Deal, amazing. Same thing. The cover is full splash, as we call it. Wow. Just a beautifully amazing job by Curtis.
So epic, dude.
It's sick, dude. And so
I can't wait to write my book with your publishing house, dude. I'm so pumped for
you
it.
Bring it. You bring it.
Yes, dude.
And we'll talk about, I've actually got a really cool thing I'm doing for the authors and our trust. Actually, I'm creating a trust for each book. I'm going to tell you about it off air, though.
Wow.
It's really, really cool. And then you make the authors the trustee. It's fascinating.
That is epic, dude.
So, these 2 books, guys, Eternal Avatar and Girls in the Demons Deal, out from Rediginal Publishing. And then we do have our 10 journal series. This is my personal one. I take my notes in, but we have all these journals that I created. There's 10 of them for various reasons and stuff. So anyway, that's the plug. But this is what I'm doing that's why I have no fucking clue what's going on in the news, man. I got another journal I'm working on that's amazing, what I'm very excited about. We're building trust. We're funding trust. We're learning and deconstructing banking systems and the language needed to do so and what bound so that we don't bind. And most of this as well is, moving on from this shit, but living in honor afterwards, right? I have changed my vernacular, man. I don't understand anything. I only say the word to say that I don't understand. I understand all. And this is the point. I either understand or I don't. This is, but it also goes back to law maxims, because the word stand is, you break this shit down, it means to stand under the authority of. Mm-hmm. So if you were ever to say this out in whatever, you're now contracted in. I don't live in Texas, I live on Texas, because if I were to say I live in Texas, that assumes that I'm within a jurisdiction. I live on the landmass of Texas, which puts me in the Republic. They're different things. And you've got to know this. But living in honor is part of this. And so really my advice is go to Joe Lustica's Rumble, put it on play, and just fucking put it in the background, listen all day long. Be confused by it. You're going to be drinking from a fire hose. Take your break. Just don't stop. Come back. Because I've been in this like you probably about 3.5 years now. And I've had to put it down months at a time and just go, what the fuck am I doing? What the fuck? And then come back. And then now I'm just we've got a great little study group that Ryan's going to join us for. Yes. So you're going to get your audience up to date about our awesome progress.
Dude, it really is amazing, man. I mean, again, so much fucking gold in what you just said, but I'll bring attention to this. It's like before I was aware this stuff existed, and maybe for some of you listeners, you've probably always had a suspicion that something was different than what you thought. Because if you look at, let's say, the 1%, for instance, right? Let's just call them forward here. It's obvious they have something figured out when it comes to money that most people don't. Now, what most people do with their time and energy is they go, wah, they should pay more taxes. Wah. What they don't do is they don't go, hey, why are they not able to pay taxes? Like, how are they not able to do that? Because at the end of the day, you're not going to, a nobody, no offense, me, a nobody, right? I'm not going to.
I'm not agreeing with that statement.
Yeah. I was saying nobody figuratively, not literally you, but you, anyone listening, me, whatever, right? As someone who's very, let's say, not in the public eye, what is me going on Instagram and saying, wow, they shouldn't pay taxes? You think Jeff Bezos is going to randomly find my profile and be like, fuck, Ryan said I should. So I guess it's not going to do anything. It's a thirst trap. That's what I mean. It makes you think I'm doing something here. I'm on the street protesting. Yeah. You know what? Those people don't give a fuck, dude. So you have 2 options. You can waste all your energy forever, or you can figure it the fuck out. And that's the 2 options. I didn't make it this way. It just is what it is. But that's the 2 options. And so about 3.5 years ago, I decided, you know what? I'm going to figure this thing out. And I got into Jeremy Griffin's community, Level Up Collective. And that's where I first heard about credit card discharge and even like things like credit card churning, which is pretty like mainstream. It's not like that hidden or whatever. But, you know, he started talking about trusts and things like that. And I always just thought, like most people, like, oh, a trust is like what my grandmother had to make sure her stuff goes to the right person. Like it's like a will, but different letters. It's way more than that. Like Brandon's saying, it is all about jurisdiction. And we get into a very qualitative area of life here. It's not like you'll actually see a physical line that's like, okay, now I'm in the private or now I'm in the public. It's all illusion in the way, but it's not, right? It's not, but it is.
You will be 4 inches taller, I promise.
Yeah. Which would be suck for me because I'm already 6'5", so I just hit my head on fucking everything, you know?
No, you get up there. I love you.
Yeah.
I'll on that tree, baby. Come on.
Dude, let's go. I got some coconuts up there too. But you know, like at the end of the day, you know, like this stuff is actually pretty fucking simple, which is what makes it feel complex because simplicity. Like it's really that easy. Like, no, it's got to be more complex. And that's where I think a lot of people get themselves confused, but also people get themselves in a lot of trouble from taking action almost too quickly. Being like, well, I just want to know. It's like, well, you do have to actually like, it's kind of like, it's like riding a bike, for instance, right? If you haven't mastered riding a bike without training wheels, then you try to go down a vert ramp, you're going to have a bad time. All right. It's not going to be good. You're probably not going to make that mistake.
You're going to have a bad time.
Yeah. It's not going to be good. And so at the end of the day, right, like that's what this is all about. And so if you're someone out there that's also felt like, yeah, like what these guys are saying, okay, I'm starting to feel a feeling from this, then like Brandon said, hop into Joe Lustiga's Rumble.
Yep.
If you can send me that link, I'll put it in the show notes too. Because this is how I got into it. This is how Brandon got into it. We just started fucking around, finding out. We put together a group called the Mighty Morphin Sovereign Rangers on Telegram, which is where we met a lot of people. And we just all started decoupling the shit and figuring it out. And you know what? It's been the most fun thing I've ever done in my life. Besides everything I do with cannabis, that's also been really fucking fun. But these are the two avenues in life I've had the most fun in. I would say music is a tied for third, actually, because I've been playing a lot of guitar as well. I meant to say that back when you were talking about
Same.
guitar.
I've been writing music lately,
dude. I feel like
for you.
I feel like a lot of us are getting back to like what we were into when we were like teenagers, you know, and it's really cool to see, you know, it's really magical to see actually. But, you know, all the music I used to like back then is now like my top hits again. It's like really fun, dude. But basically what I can tell you guys unabridgedly and unabashedly is that it is true. This stuff is out there. Okay. I have done a lot of this stuff now and had amazing results. I've also got very confused for probably like 2 years, to be honest. There was 2 years of just like, what the fuck am I doing? Is this even real? And then you get your first thing that works, your first discharge, or, you know, again, for trust, it's actually pretty simple. You just set it up and you operate in that realm for a while. And then you see that maybe you don't have to pay income tax and things like that. And you start realizing like, wait a minute, it's that fucking simple. And yet I spent that many years getting angry at people that weren't paying taxes or whatever, when in reality, I could have just spent a year and learned how to do it and been free forever. It's pretty ridiculous, actually. And it's pretty hilarious, to be honest.
Both. And I really do think, number one, it's very powerful. It's the most powerful thing here, Bubba. I really do think this is one of the top levels. It's after this that we get laser vision and teleportation, because you need to earn this shit. You've got to know that you're not going to react in a comment section. You've got to, there's a vibe to this, man. It is a club, dude. And you do earn your way here through everything. This has been the most spiritual process I've ever been through, because you are releasing the most amount of fear. There's an overarching authoritative element that we all grew up with. It's part of the system. It's part of the realm. It did a great job at its job. But at its core, it pushed, but it didn't enough. You know, it knew what level to push us at, not to break us completely, but to squeeze us enough to go, hang on. And that's one of the things that Bree, one of our mentors in this, because it's really two folks, it's Joe Lustica and Bree Devine. They were in this together. I got to meet her at Confluence, by the way.
Oh, I know. I saw your pictures, dude. I was so bummed I couldn't go. I was in Italy drinking espresso, you know?
Next, dude, for damn sure. And those two really focus on the idea that start where the pain is, because yes, this is it's its own realm, to where like once you replace the funhouse of what's happening on this social media, or what senator did this to what, or what bill they're going to pass next, or, you know, any of that kind of shit, or what NASA did, or what Elon's doing, or any of that fucking shit. I'm just throwing names out there.
Yeah. It's a pretty good, actually, a pretty good cachet of things.
Thank you. So if you look into that, that gaggle of things, then that's what you get. And there's, again, plenty to see there. But on a certain part of the mountain, the kiosks change. It's a different level floor of the same hotel floor print, but in the places where there was nonsense, now there are, wait a minute, that's banking. How do I private banking? There's and then trust, and then there's a difference between trusts, and then you go to PMAs where you're like private membership association. So this is how the Amish do it, to where like they don't give it, they don't receive anything, they get things donated to them and give things away for free. Wink, wink. Mm-hmm. The way the system works, it's fascinating, honestly, and it's terrifying. Yes, okay, guys, and I'm not here to like, say that, anyone can do this. And you really, really can. This is simply going to be a matter of replacing your energy from that and putting it into this. Now, what I would say is that I never forget why I'm doing what I'm doing, because that taught me a lot. Yes, I put psychedelics down, but I put them down because I did them so much and to a point where I got so comfortable with saying, I don't need you, and this is where the student doesn't need the teacher anymore and moves on. It's okay to navigate these things like this, because that's another psyop of the matrix, is that you've got to commit, stay, be this, believe, all this, be a part of the, okay. And because that's part of the thing. But in this community that I'm in, again, it's open for a lot of folks. I'll give you the link as well. You can show it. I texted you Joe's Rumble, the show notes. And what we're doing is finding out how to take fiduciary duty over our Social Security person, because they're two different things. You're a living individual, a living human being, but there is something called a ens legis, or a Social Security person, or a straw man. It's referred to a couple things. Ens legis is the Latin term, and we're going to come back to Harry Potter in a minute. Is the Latin term for it. And this whole idea is that, and this is one of the biggest mindfucks, the government treats you like you're the paper thing and doesn't care that you're the living thing. But the paper thing is funded off of the living thing's ability to produce labor. And so that's what your birth certificate is. It's a security on future labor. And so that's why it's traded. That's why, and there's a lot of stuff in that, but we don't talk about that in the public. But what we do talk about is how you delineate yourself from a citizen to a national, or whatever you want, honestly. And you can choose whatever you want. I chose national. I choose to hail from Texas. That's where I'm from. That's what feels right to me. I'm proud as fuck of it. It's built into my DNA to be proud as shit to be from here anyhow. And so it worked out to be the best place ever. And so I went that route. Also, your revocation of election, and why you're doing it, why income tax is a gift tax according to the IRS, and you are offering it to them as a donation, and that it then goes to CFR or something like that then gets sent out of the country to fund proxy wars. Most likely what's going on with the adrenochrome drugs and black market money is most likely the income tax, is what my guess is, the bulk of it. So if you starve that, then it goes away. It may not go away without a fight. You may need to starve it, and then as it's desperate a little bit, it may lash out, but it's not going to lash out at you. It's going to lash out in a way at the things it still has control over. And so you're going to see its citizens become quite oppressed, but we are not in that version. We don't live in that reality. And it is a mindfuck. It is getting over the fear, because that's the first step. It's been programmed into you to just fill it out this way, and just make sure you do this. And guys, when you really sit down and look at this, you get taller, you get bigger, you realize that you are God, and that this is the way to beat the soul trap, because no one's going to let you out of here if you can't even file a simple amount of paperwork, because it requires reading and knowing and understanding on a true core level that there are two systems at least going on here, and that there's a federal one and then there's a republic, and even your address is different. Your physical mailbox address has two different addresses. It has a republic address, and we can show you how to look that up now if that's something you're interested in. But it's really interesting, again, when we take all this into consideration, that it's just a big game out there to allow you building blocks to take back to your workshop and build your own shit. Now, I'm to the points where I don't need to dip into the system much at all, if at all, for my own creative juices. I'm tapped into, I've had enough of it. I'm done with it. And so therefore the moves I'm making now feel right for me at a soul level. Not everybody is going to be where we are, man. And that's fine. But if this can be like a seed we're planting, that later on folks are like, holy shit, what were those dickheads talking about? And yeah. that's cool, man.
Dude, it really is. It's amazing, man. And it gets to be really fun and enjoyable. And, again, it reminds me of the Carl Jung quote, something like, there's a time in life where you got to clean up, show up, and grow up. Paul Chek says that often. And that's what we're talking about here, right? Is like, are you going to be a kid that allows your emotions to get pulled into everything and then blames everyone else and everything else for why your emotions went there? Or are you going to take accountability, grow up, show up for yourself, and actually create a new reality. That's really what we're talking about. And again, you can create whatever you want. Any experience is valid in the eyes of creator. Neither of us are going to sit here and say that if you choose to watch the news or whatever, it's inherently bad. It's not. I mean, it's an experience, right? It just depends on what experience you want to have. And you get to create that based on the stories you tell yourself, the belief systems those stories are created with, and the thoughts that create the beliefs that create the stories. And if you don't like your reality, the only place to look is inside, because everything is an inside job. It's not just 9/11. So at the end of the day,
Tonkin or Ruby Ridge, or how much time we got?
Yeah, exactly. We could be here fucking 3 hours just talking about the psyops. But, again, at the end of the day, when you see it all, like I look at it like this. I literally look at it because this is the way it just is fun for me to look at it through. It's like for me when I was a kid and I was in high school and there was the hot girl, but she was like kind of toxic, and no harm, no foul, but like, she knew how to manipulate men, let's say, right? And so there was like a thirst trap. Now I didn't have to give my energy to that. She wasn't demanding it, right? But I was giving it. And until I woke up to that, I would literally let her control my life and I would call it fate. And that's another Carl Jung quote: until you bring the unconscious into the conscious, it will dictate your life and you'll call it fate. And so this process of growing up, cleaning up, showing up, etc., is accepting responsibility for all of your creations, not just the happy ones, but also the ones where you realize that you created a world for yourself that you didn't like. And again, the thirst trap is, but look what's happening. No, it's not. Like, at the end of the day, if someone like a Gandhi or even Jesus, right? Jesus got crucified, all right, which is pretty fucking intense, all right? If that really occurred, let's just say for sake of conversation that it really occurred. If that really occurred, or any of the atrocities that any of these deities and non-dualists have gone through, what did Jesus say on the cross? Forgive them, they know not what they do. He was unfazed by it, getting nails driven through him and unfazed, okay? So regardless of what you think is going on in your life, you're not actually having nails driven through you. So if he can do it, you can do it, because that was his whole message. You are no different than I. But what do people do? They glorify his body. They glorify his life. What did he do for those 20 lost years? It's like, dude, he literally was just saying, hey, pay attention to what I'm saying and doing, not who I am, because it's an illusion, all right? I'm not real. And so at the end of the day, the amount of people, but he said this, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, did he really say that? Were you there 3,000 years ago or 2,000 years ago? Do you know unequivocally that he said that? Because if not, you're really just falling into a book that was written thousands of years ago that you have no idea how many times was altered. That's why for me, not to go on a tangent here, but I like A Course in Miracles because it just feels like it's actually Jesus. Whether or not it was doesn't really matter, because it was never about him. It was about what he was sharing and what we had access to through what he was remembering when we forgot. That's really what it was all about. And so we all have the ability to be someone that allows people to remember what they've forgotten. And we all do it in our own ways. I've done it with cannabis. We're talking about it with sovereignty. Someone else does it being a car mechanic. Hey, did you forget to change your oil? Oh my God, my car runs better now, right? We're all helping each other remember. And no remembering point is more important than the other. But I would say in my own life, what I've experienced is that certain ones have bigger payoffs than others. And for me, what we're talking about here, sovereignty, even if you take out the matrix aspect of it and you just claim sovereignty over your creations, that has been the most powerful thing for me. If you want to add on all this stuff, great, right? If it feels great for you, go for it. But the ultimate gift I think we can all give each other in this lifetime is remembering, hey, we are the creator of our reality. And that is actually, when you tap into it, what makes life most beautiful, because you get to be the conscious creator of it. And for me, that's just what I live for these days. That's just it.
Nailed it with this, dude. Fucking God, I love you. God. Okay, I'm going to tie up a few things that we've talked about here. A couple of, you mentioned balance earlier, and I'm going to introduce something that it was introduced to me because I use the word balance a lot because I've got a Libra moon, and I'm a Libra stellium, by the way, so I'm really into balance. But what I'm truly into is harmony, and we're going to talk about it. Okay, so harmony really implies that there's multiple things going on, but one of them is off. Okay, now in my mind, there's still two beautiful things occurring. Okay. It doesn't mean we baby with bathwater everything, right? Which is some solution-based individual's idea of that. But if we just realize that, okay, we're good, we go check, okay, now good, hang on, where are we at? If we want it to sound different, now there's nothing wrong with this chord. People use this. This is
diminished.
Yep, there you go. And so what we use it for on purpose, and we'll get there as well. Now, if we want to write this to a more major, let's say it's just a chord, 1 5 8, right? So if we're looking at it that way, then you've got harmony there. But just because something's a little bit off doesn't mean we throw it all out and we're all fucked because we're off balance. When I hear the word balance now in my mind, because of the delineation, it was Don Lester actually that gave me this gift. Thank you, Don, to replace the word. Because again, it's all about your speech. And what I connected balance to was something that was inherently either this or that. And it was either, and then I also connected it to a waiter carrying trays through a crowded room that could lose it at any moment, right? And so there was a bit of anxiety built into the word if I really thought about it. But of course I used it often because that's how I describe things. But if I'm more honest with myself, when Don said it, I connected it to music. Thank God I'm a musician. And I was able to say, oh, but that's dissonance. That's all that is. One of them's a little out. Now we're looking for harmony. Got it. Now, harmony, and this is going to turn into a guitar lesson, but harmony occurs at its greatest form after a little dissonance. So if you resolve with a little, then you resolve the dissonance, but it took the dissonance to create the joyful resolve. So the idea that we can abolish all of it is kind of silly in my mind, because I think we're still going to be found a lot of challenge, and challenge we're not lacking, right? There's challenge in discovering new parts of yourself, new skills. There's always, if you don't play guitar, by the way, that's great. Challenge yourself by learning a new instrument, new skill, new language, fucking learn how to free yourself from the chains you didn't even know were there, but you could feel the whole time if you're honest with yourself. But those then imply harmony, right? And this is the idea that we can create ourselves anew. And the first step, though, is honestly speech. And so we're going to come back to Harry Potter. So we're going to wrap this up a little bit.
Fuck yeah.
Harry Potter, then, I'd never seen and never read. So I still haven't read the books, but Mary, we happened to run out of shit to watch. And so we just threw that on. So we went through the whole series. Now it takes me 2 weeks to watch one movie. So it took me a while to get through just because I don't sit out there happened on. I'm like, I haven't actually. Did you know what the 8822B does for the fiduciary duty of your social security number? When you trust, and they're like, what? I'm like, anyway, so we just have different what we're doing. So I finally sat down and did the Harry Potter thing. And when I was sitting there, I'll go, holy fucking shit. All of this is relating to the sovereignty work that I've been doing, because it's all spell casting. And it also relates to, I don't have it on hand, there's a great book by a guy named Pao Cheng called Word Magic. And it's actually Word Magic Volume 2. But highly recommend this. Again, go to Amazon while you're looking at Girls in the Demon Steel and The Eternal Avatar, and the plug. Go check out Pao Cheng's Word Magic, because it is a fascinating book about casting exactly what we're just talking about here. And the difference in law, it's very different. The language means everything. Again, if you walk up to a judge and they go, do you understand? And you go, yep. They go, got you. If you answer any question a cop asks, answering a question is jurisdiction, offering jurisdiction. That's why you see those videos of guys going, I don't answer questions. That's why he's not offering. But if you don't know that, then you don't know that.
And you just think the guy's a dick. And why doesn't he just comply? He's just being a dickhead. And it's like, you don't get it. Yeah. You
don't get it. Yeah, you don't get it. First of all, the driver's license is a whole fucking thing, because that's for commerce, and driver means commerce. It's in the definition. So really you're operating a motor vehicle, not, and there's all this shit. So you don't even need to do any of that stuff. But anyway, but you put the car in a trust and it gets flagged as trust property, and then you just drive and do what you want. But trusts are the key, guys. I'm telling you. And it's ironic too, because if you have trust issues, this shit's not for you. I had to work through a lot of my own trust issues to even approach the topic, even my own sovereignty. So, I think I was going with this, that it's harmony, Harry Potter. When they were going through it, they were Avioso, Levioso, and I'm learning shit like Ensleigis, which is, again, your straw man's, your puppet. French terms like Sesquequevi, which means he who knew, and your Sesquequevi Trust that was set up in 1666 as for feudal lords and ladies to have their property not sit there if they died or ran off and whatever. So all of this language has been wrapped up in this. Nunc pro tunc has been one of my favorites lately. Do you know what that one is?
No.
Nunc pro tunc means from the beginning. So, for instance, when we're writing our trust, what we're able to do is you can backdate it 25 years. Now, it just so happens that 25 years ago, I was turning 18, and that was the kid that got beaten out of his house, walked out on foot with 2 bags of clothes, his guitar, and that was it. And that was the start that I got as an adult, right? So I gave that kid this. I'm lighting up thinking about this, okay? This is time travel. This is when they talk about that quantum entanglement. What is it? Retrocausality. That's it. This is retrocausality. This is me saying, hey, 18-year-old kid, what you did, you were dude, fucking thank you for this, because it led us here. And if you hadn't have done any of that shit and gotten your ass kicked for no reason, all these things, right? If you hadn't gone through all the shit, we wouldn't be where we are. And so to thank you for that, kid, I'm retroacting this shit, retro causality, ipso facto, fucking you got your shit. So what's cool is you backdate your trust, and it means nunc pro tunc means from the beginning. From ab infinito, man, from the beginning, from inception. You're writing this stuff. When you write to the IRS, you say, hey, any taxes I've ever submitted, they were under a false pretense. Thank you, but eat a dick, kindly. Do not do it there anymore. And so they go, okay, cool. It's a clerical thing. It's an intermediary between you and the Treasury. That's it. And once you see them as this, again, I'm on irs.gov. I've got 4 tabs pulled up right now of different forms that we're filling out. They are not your enemy, guys. We're calling to get our 98 EINs very soon, which is a huge next step. And you know this. Dude. So it's crazy. Harry Potter's wild because as we were going through it, yes, a lot of it related to the dualistic nature of this, but really I picked up more of the Latin and spell casting. And again, word is the wand, but then I connected it to composers, and I've been getting really into classical music. And so I connected it to composers and how they're conducting symphonies, and how really, if we look at the planets and the astrology to tie it all back in, is really like a big sound bath. And whenever we have Jupiter, sound is creating all of this light and everything, allegedly. And so whenever Jupiter comes around, for everybody, yes, but for you also, because you're tuned to this frequency, it's going to resonate with you a little bit different and offer different experiences and blah, blah, blah. So it's all connected, and it's all sound, and it all goes back to your words. So watch them shits, folks.
Dude, fucking amazing, bro. I would literally keep talking to you for 5 more hours about this stuff, because it's literally obsessive for all I care about right now. But I want to be respectful of your time. I also got an appointment coming up in a couple minutes, but dude, this has been absolutely fucking amazing, bro. I can't wait for people to check this out. Guys, please go check out the show notes. Join Joe's Rumble if, and this is a big if this resonates. If it doesn't, cool, forget about it. Who cares, right? But at the end of the day, bro, I'm so excited you came on with me. Where can people connect with you? Because I know you're kind of focusing on anonymity right now. So where can people connect with you, if anywhere?
It's funny to come on your show and promote somebody else. It feels right, honestly. Dude, it's not weird to ask me to promote myself, because yeah, man, I've kind of taken a break from that. And that's where I'm in the service department with this. It's a lot of foundational stuff, but you guys can find me at Instagram, Expanding Reality 369. There's another Expanding Reality account. Don't go to that one. Go to Expanding 369 or Brandon Thomas 369 on on Instagram as well. We're on TikTok. Just look for Expanding Reality on stuff. I have not been adding to that feed, man. My energy has been elsewhere, but there's still 336 episodes worth of shit, 337 episodes. And actually the episode that was out last, I need to connect you with this chick. She's an Aries.
Oh, dope. Aries gang. Let's go.
Her name's Jessie Powers. I'm going to plug her too. Go check out Fernway Glass on Instagram. And dude, go ahead and while I'm plugging her, go ahead and pull this shit up and scroll down a couple and check out what she does. You'll love it. This is perfect for us.
Almost definitely have heard about her.
She's she was the artist on the last show. And when you go through her feed, you'll see, I used to send these to my wife before I invited her as the artist. So for the audience that doesn't know, I've got this thing on my show where I do this thing called Creative Expansion Art Series. And instead of like this, we're just 2 dudes talking, I'll have an artist sit in another box and create, and we just see their hands. They're on mute. So you can stare at that while you're just hearing 2 dudes blind, whatever. Yeah, but keep scrolling. You'll find it.
I mean, was it the vagina getting made out of glass? Yeah, dude, that's fucking sick.
She made stained glass vaginas on the show, and then she has tits. And I told her to do a UFO with the vagina as the hole sucking up. Oh my god! She's probably going to work on that. So I've commissioned a stained glass piece from her.
That is metal AF, dude. Holy shit!
She's dope as shit. Literally, friend her and say Brandon sent me, man. She's we had an hour-long phone call last night. She's just family now. Man. She's cool.
It's amazing, dude. I always walk away from our conversations not only with my battery charge, but with new connections. And that's my favorite thing in the world. So, bro, I thank you, dude. And I got one last question, of course, that I got to throw in there. Let's say someone listening to this wants to highly optimize their life starting today. What's the one piece of wisdom you would supply to them to allow them to make that mission accomplished?
Fuck. Yes, but for Bo's got to close on a couple words with the deepest shit. I would say, honestly, turn the news off. Whenever I see things like what occurred, I take it as my cue for a social media break.
Yeah.
Read more. Get out of the real world. There's tangible things still occurring that aren't all digital, which is another big reason I'm into publishing, because I'm into things you can set on fire, I suppose. But,
Yeah.
and that's the other thing too. Like, don't hold on to shit. Like, be fluid. Be like water. That's what feng shui literally translates to from Mandarin, is wind and water. And it's two elements that flow. And the deal with that is just being flexible, man. Just like what we said, the presuppositions. Honestly, go through, inventory your beliefs and your energy. Where is it going? In your energy, meaning attention, because they're synonymous. So energy, where is it going? And then also your beliefs. What do I believe about things? I told people for years that daddy long legs were the most venomous snake, but they couldn't penetrate your skin because I heard it in a movie. And I didn't know I heard it in arachnophobia, by the way. I'm sure there's other people going, oh my God, I did that too. Or some people going, wait, that's not true, because I heard that. Okay, guys, yeah, it's not fucking true. So I told people that forever, and I didn't think to go back to correct the belief, because it was established fact in my mind. I'm like, fuck yeah, John fucking Goodman said it in this movie. I mean, I'm sure it's correct, right? It had the guy from Dumb and Dumber, and it must be on the up and up. Anyway, so the point here: allocate inventory of your energy and your beliefs. Go through and just check: is that still true for me today?
Dude,
I love you guys all. Dude, I love you so much.
I love
Ryan.
you too, bro. You're such an amazing bright light in my life, dude, and I'm so grateful to have you in my life. And guys, please, if this resonates, I'm going to say it again. Go join Joe's Rumble. Get yourself into some of the most fun and exciting and invigorating and inspiring areas of life, and do it with some rad-ass people. Me and Brandon will be there. It's going to be fucking sick. Bree's amazing. Joe's amazing. Everyone in the group's amazing. Go check it out, guys. Give yourself a new lease on life and prove to yourself that you are more powerful than you ever believed you were. Thank you, guys. I love you forever. May the force be with you to infinity and beyond. And go give the show a 5-star if you loved it. All right. Love you guys. See you soon. Peace.